We all watched Grant Stankfield lose his shit when he had somebody come on, a veteran, who said, yeah, the Trump administration was limiting as many of the SIV people as they could to slow down the entire process. And as we sped up that process and try to get people out, that required more resources that could have been used for security and other stuff. So, yeah, Trump is fucking responsible for the deaths of those service members. Because he left more on the plate of the next president than he had to, considering they knew the exit strategy was there. Of course, he did that because he was always planning on staying. Stankfield, trying not to lose his shit. Stankfield is stanky. Grant Stanky, former White House counsel, won't release documents pertaining to the Russian hoax. Former White House counsel. Where's the White House counsel? So, is this isn't, you're not attacking a Trump appointee, are you? You're not attacking someone that was viewed as an ally to the cause or anything. I mean, just judging from the title. No? Maybe? Yes? Could be? We'll see. Shall we? Shall we see what, it's probably Nancy Pelosi's fault.
Welcome to Stinchfield.
It's pronounced Stankfield, and no one is welcome.
Broke that the special counsel appointed by the Trump administration.
It had to be Durham, didn't it? The great white bearded hope. Yes. I so wish I had a Durham. I don't even know what that is. That is like, it's like you wouldn't, it's the goatee version of Michael McDonald's face.
To investigate the origins of the Russian collusion.
It's pronounced oranges. Really, the oranges, the beginnings, the oranges of
investigation. Indicted an attorney connected to Hillary Clinton. That's the belief. I said to myself, that's it?
Yeah, that's it. Sorry. And the guy's not going to be found guilty either. He won't even get a Michael Flynn sentence. Count on it. Bye.
Cybersecurity guy who's being accused of making false statements to the FBI. This investigation has been going on for years, and this is all we get?
Yep, that's all you get. Well, no, that's not true. You get to flail about on your show and be really angry and log into Fiverr and have create something. Durham dud.
Is some attorney tied to the
Found a picture of Trump looking at, like, here's Hillary just like, I think I'll have ice cream because this thing fell apart. And Trump like, you were supposed to save me.
And see, where are the FBI agents that colluded and falsified documents to sink President Trump? Where
they don't exist. The one guy who falsified information was actually making it less of a chance that Carter Page would get his the warrant against Carter Page would continue. He actually, the changes he made it less likely that they would re-up the warrant against Carter Page. He was helping Carter Page. He would have helped Carter Page. But no one can help Carter Page because fuck Carter Page. Carter Page is a dum-dum. And he's an awful person. And he's so stupid that nobody emails him anything. He's a courier. They give him an envelope. They tell him to deliver it. They tell him bad things will happen to him if he doesn't give it to the right person when he arrives. And then he goes and does whatever his speech is that is his cover story, and then he comes home. That's what he does. That's what Carter Page did. No one would ask Carter Page for economic advice. Carter Page is a dum-dum. Everybody knows Carter Page is a dum-dum. Everybody thinks he's a dum-dum. Everybody in the Trump organization thought he was the stupidest person they'd ever met. Whatever you do, don't email anything to Carter Page. He will hit reply all. Got it. Totally in on the conspiracy, reply all. Just give him the paper. Don't tell him what's in the envelope and tell him to drop it off. He's only supposed to meet people backstage at events for a couple of seconds so that if they ever ask him, he can say, I think I met him backstage for a couple of seconds. And nobody on the committee is allowed to ask if you handed him anything. Notice how that question never came up with Carter Page? When you got there, you communicated with people? I just talked to them a little bit. Did you hand them anything? What? Did you hand them anything? Did you hand them a an envelope per se? Did anybody in the Trump administration give you anything physical to pass along? I plead the fifth. All right. Yeah. Great, dum-dum. What's the fifth? I don't know, but I think it comes between the fourth and the sixth, I'm pretty sure.
The Clinton staffers and government higher-ups that I am convinced played a role in the...
Well, that's all I need. All I need to know is that Grant Stankfield is convinced. I'm convinced. If he's convinced, I'm convinced. Then you as the viewer should be convinced.
Illegal smear campaign against President Trump and his allies. So I may have some answers here.
His allies? Oh, Putin. Right. Gotcha. Sorry. Okay.
A former White House insider with direct knowledge surrounding the Russian collusion case tells me before leaving office, President Donald Trump declassified thousands of Russian collusion documents. I'm told those documents directly implicate a number of FBI agents. I'm also told they will prove those agents weaponized the FBI and engaged.
Yeah, but he declassified them. The second he declassified them, he could have put them on a thumb drive, handed them to Rudy Giuliani, and had Rudy Giuliani post them on the web the second he decided to do it. Yeah, I'm told that Donald Trump declassified all these documents that don't exist. But if they did exist, he declassified them. And then the minute he declassified them, he put them on a USB thumb drive that is apparently still up Rudy Giuliani's ass.
Criminal activity. These documents will also show the FBI waged illegal political warfare on behalf of none other than the Democrats and, of course,
yeah, as they always do. You know, the FBI, they're just full of lefties.
The Hillary Clinton campaign. This high-ranking source from inside the Trump White House tells me former White House counsel Pat Cipollone, the custodian of those documents, is disobeying a direct order from his former boss by refusing to release the documents.
Well, I mean, they're released, aren't they? They're declassified. So they exist. If they've been declassified, unless somebody reclassified them, they exist. Anybody in the DOJ who's even friendly to Trump could just put them out.
President Trump even directed Cipollone to turn over those unclassified documents to a well-known reporter, highly respected for his in-depth and fair reporting on the Russian collusion hoax.
Who's that? Gateway Pundit?
Talking about John Solomon from Just the News. He never got those documents.
That's weird. He never got those. So John Solomon's telling you that he was supposed to get some shit and he never got it. And if he'd gotten it, he totally would have written about it, but he didn't get it. Why didn't he get it?
All of that, I'm told, has yet to happen.
I'm told? By who, fucko? By who? Sorry, whom? By whom? Whom has told you this, Stankfield? Because I call bullshit. It's Kanye. It's totally Kanye. You're right.
I'm also told President Trump only learned just this week that Pat Cipollone, his White House counsel, refused to follow through with his order to release the documents in...
He declassified them. He doesn't have a copy of them himself with his own personal documents when he left. I mean, it was an act of the presidency. He could declassify whatever he wanted. So he declassified them, and what? He declassified them, put them on a thumb drive, and gave them to Pat Cipollone and said, hold on to these. I don't really mean it. So what you're saying is this guy who hired this guy who's a traitor and a liar and other pejoratives, but this guy who hires only the best people hired somebody who won't release these documents that somebody told you he has and that he declassified, that he just found out haven't been released, even though they would have been released and they would have totally exonerated him. But Trump only noticed this week that they haven't gotten out, even though they would totally eat the whole case. And he just figured this out this week. What? And that he doesn't have a copy of these declassified documents? What the fuck are you talking about? I'm getting... All right. Stankfield is definitely giving Bongino a run for his money. I'm just saying.
Their entirety. So instead, they sit hidden from public view.
Where could they be? Goonies never die. Where are we going to meet up?
Walked, apparently, by a man who should be loyal to President Trump.
Why? Didn't he take an oath of office and pass a security screening when he was in the office. Maybe he should be loyal to the United States of America. Maybe he is being, maybe, hey, Stanfield, let me float something for you. A famous philosopher once said, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might get what you need. Maybe Pat Cipollone is hiding these things because this asshole thinks they exonerate him, but his lawyer knows they absolutely don't. Perhaps, let me just say it, perhaps this guy and whoever you're talking to are equally stupid. And they think the information in that, kind of like the transcript, is a perfect phone call. I don't know why anybody would be upset about the perfect phone call. And you're like, asshole, your perfect phone call includes a crime. You can't threaten to not deliver foreign aid that Congress has arranged to give in exchange for political help. You can't do that's a crime. But he thinks it's a perfect phone call. Maybe similarly, Stankfield, this asshole and whoever your buddy is who's blowing smoke up your ass that there's magic documents on a thumb drive somewhere, maybe just maybe this guy actually did hire somebody who has his best interests in heart and knows full well that all this shit will be even worse for him, and that's why he's not releasing it. That, of course, is predicated on the nonsense that this exists at all, and you're not making up your friend. Perhaps, just perhaps, Grant Stankfield's friend has these documents stored in his buddy in Trinidad's swollen testicles.
Now it appears, what? Is he part of the deep state establishment?
Yeah, everybody. Suddenly everybody who gets a look at Trump's criminal activities up close is suddenly a deep state actor instead of going, oh, you're a dangerous lunatic. I thought they were just picking on you. I see.
This refusal to release all of the Trump declassified documents is...
Why didn't Trump have them? Well, if he declassified them, why does Pat Cipollone have the only copy? We're supposed to believe that shit? We're supposed to believe that Pat Cipollone has the only copy of these declassified documents. How, why, what? And that these are the documents that would totally throw everybody. Nancy Pelosi's going to jail for colluding, and the collusion never happened, and it's totally going to exonerate him. The exonerating documents that totally get Trump off the hook. There's one copy on a zip drive. They're up Pat Cipollone's ass, and he refuses to fart. This is so stupid.
Reason why other former White House insiders loyal to President Trump believe the Durham report may be delayed. They tell me Pat Cipollone...
Who's they, Grant? I'm sorry. Monsieur Stankfield. Who are they? Who's your anonymous source? Come on, tell us. You remember what you used to tell us about anonymous sources? Who are they? Come on. Tell us who they are. Why don't they have a copy? They were allies of former President Trump, and they didn't have a copy. Why didn't they get a copy? Were they not sufficiently trustworthy? Were they known liars? Did Trump not trust them, so he didn't want to give them the documents for fear that they would modify them and release them piecemeal, like Rudy Giuliani and his deep fake bullshit Hunter Biden nonsense?
History, and this is their quote, of underserving President Trump and caused, quote...
You would never do that. Grant would never underserve him. He would get right under there and serve him. That's the great thing about Grant Stankfield, I gotta say, is that Grant would crawl right under there and and service the president.
Much frustration inside the Trump White House. Now, I tried to reach out to Pat Cipollone to get his response to these allegations. I left him a voice message. I texted him.
Yeah, you have his personal number? That's weird. And he's not returning your phone call?
Allegations are these disobeying President Trump.
Disobeying President Trump. Disobeying. You know how fucked up that sounds?
On these important documents, I only got a call from an associate who disputed the slow walk allegation, insisting Durham has all the documents he needs.
Yeah, except the fart air fantasy documents that you have dreamt up in your goddamn head. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Grant Stankfield. Glad to meet you.
Trump should be outraged by all of this.
What isn't he outraged by? He has two emotions right now, outrage and confusion. Trump, it literally has a coin he flips on how to feel about shit. Outraged or how could that, this is a disgrace. How do you say fart in Chinese? Feng pi. Feng pi. It's a butt wind, effectively. Feng is wind, pigu is ass, so feng pi.
It's more evidence that my president never knew who he could fully trust, even inside his own White House.
See, that's what happens when you run on I alone can fix it and I know all the best people. What the how do you call him your president? How do you actually think this asshole has any skills whatsoever if he literally built a White House surrounded by no one he could trust? By the end of his presidency, he could not trust anyone. Now, granted, he's not a trustworthy person, and the reason he couldn't trust people is because he hired some trustworthy people, and even though they were kind of a little shady, they were like, yeah, even I have a line. But wasn't the whole point, I could figure this out so fast, we could get people in there, I know the best people, these people are stupid, we have stupid people running things, right? Only the best people. But he couldn't trust fucking anybody. Nobody but Ivanka and Rudy.
That, I believe, was his biggest challenge as president.
His biggest challenge. You mean the people he hired? Fucking hell.
As for that indictment against the Democrat lawyer, Michael Sussmann, he stands accused of making false statements to the FBI during the 2016 presidential campaign. The indictment is for lying to the FBI about potential cyber links between a Russian bank and a company owned...
No. Oh, no, that's not what it's about. The indictment is he was telling them about a possible cyber link between the Russians and the Trump organization, but he didn't apparently list that he was a lawyer that was working for the Clinton campaign. He didn't mention that. That's the part, not the part that he brought this up.
By former President Donald Trump. Now, the FBI found no merit to Sussmann's allegations. Mm-hmm. Absolutely none.
None. No, absolutely not. I mean, they couldn't look, and they weren't allowed in, and they couldn't get clearance to look for the stuff, and they certainly couldn't go after the money during the Mueller report, and money is the exact reason how and why Putin manipulated Trump and made him do what he wanted. But, no, they couldn't find anything.
The New York Times reports Durham investigators believe Sussmann was actually secretly working for the Clinton team at the time. Sussmann, of course, denies that and any wrongdoing. His lawyers insist he'll be cleared. We shall see.
Right, but that's the part that he's actually indicted for, is whether or not he was working directly with the Clinton campaign or just worked with the law firm that did it, and whether disclosing it or not disclosing it was, mitigatory to, his claims of what Trump was up to.
I want, though, are those documents related to the Russian collusion investigation?
Well, I'm sorry. It's like when a little kid swallows a penny. You're just going to have to go to Rudy Giuliani's house, wait outside the bathroom, and look at your watch, like the rest of us.
Declassified by President Trump before he left office. There were thousands of them.
No, there wasn't. There were not thousands of them. They don't exist. They do not. If they existed, someone else would have them. And let's say there's only one copy of these are the, oh God, this is so fucking Trump. This is so Trump. There's only one copy digitally, because this is not like printed out paper. This is not like the last Boy Scout where he's like, fast forward eats the tape. You son. Now our evidence is ruined. Fast forward eats the tape. How am I supposed to know that? We got one piece of evidence. Your stupid car eats the tape. Like, let me get this straight. Let me explain as much as I understand the allegation that Stankfield is making. Donald Trump declassified FBI documents that would totally exonerate him, that show that there was a huge conspiracy. The Russia collusion narrative was a total hoax. It would totally get him off the hook. It would show a conspiracy to like behind the scenes with the Democrats and the FBI and other people to connivingly control the narrative around this and impeach him and all this shit. And he had one copy of those documents. He declassified them totally. Now they still exist everywhere in the chain of command and in the servers at the FBI, allegedly, but they're only, not anymore. I take it back. They were erased from the FBI servers. They exist only on one hard drive or one thumb drive. And he gave them to Pat Cipollone, who promised to release them. And Cipollone says there isn't anything else. I gave everything I have to Durham. So if Durham doesn't have them, they don't exist. But we're to believe that this magic document, this magic flood of documents, exists randomly in the ethers. But Trump declassified them. There's only one copy, and the only guy that has a copy won't release them because he's insufficiently loyal to Trump. Fucking hell.
They need to be released.
They need to exist, dumb shit. They need to exist. This is so stupid. Pat Cipollone said they don't exist. Pat Cipollone was Trump's lawyer. Trump hired him to make sure that he didn't go to jail. Pat Cipollone is not a nice person. Pat Cipollone is not a Democrat. He's not a liberal. He's as loyal to Trump as his job title carries it, which means he won't commit a crime for his client, but he will get his client freed on any crime that he can. Yeah, it's on a 1 1/4 inch floppy disk. It's like an old-fashioned, like, it's on a 5-inch, like.
Them from the public is about as swampy as it gets. Well, joining me now is the founder of Just the News, the reporter, the man who should have been given all of those documents.
That's what it is. He just didn't, they exist. They totally exist. Somebody told me they totally exist. Guys, they totally exist.
Trump's direction, John Solomon. John, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you. You got that story just right about the document.
Did he? Because I think all of us are fucking confused. Not so much about the fantasy documents you're talking about, but please explain to me, both of you dumb fucks, explain to me how you think the sun shines out of Trump's ass and the one true tan only comes from that sunshine. And yet, you're trying to convince me that Trump declassified documents that would have gotten him off the hook, made one copy of them, gave them to his lawyer, and his lawyer refuses to release them. Durham never got a copy, and you were supposed to get a copy, but they just went away. But Trump totally should be president again, because he's doing like 5th level chess. He's playing Spock chess, bitches. Like that, really?
No doubt about it.
Yeah, lots of doubt, dum-dum.
John, what's in them? Why would he hold these documents from you? This could help the president. It could help inform the public.
And since they're declassified, couldn't anyone in government look at them? Like Jim Jordan or Devin Nunes, who's been known to scatter documents about? Couldn't any of them, because they've been declassified, get another copy of them and get them to fucking everybody?
Yeah, listen, on the 19th of January, I met with the president. I was told I was going to get these documents. I got to see them in a declassified state that night, and I was told a box was coming my way in the next 24 hours, and that didn't happen. And it's funny, that night as all this was going on...
A box. By the way, I totally believe this story. I'm just disappointed he didn't use the word sir.
Tell me, a handful of people scooped up some of the documents that were on...
That's what it was. Yeah, you didn't have a proper size scoop?
The tables. They're classified, nothing wrong with this, and they just threw them in an envelope and sent them to me because they were fearful that something was going to happen to the larger batch. And I think over the last 8 months, their fears have come true. So very shortly after the president declassified, I was able to break some very big stories. I got a hold of all of Christopher Steele's FBI handling reports.
We saw this shit earlier, but somehow all the stuff you got a hold of, which was the parts that they thought would be most crucial to you, still don't exonerate the president. Weird. There's got to be something. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? All right.
Including his September 17 report, where he basically told the FBI not only was he working for Hillary Clinton, he wasn't really sure what he had was real or even truthful or accurate. So we were able to get some of those out, but the large batch of those that were declassified and were never given to me, I've now been told that the lawyers did not comply with the president's instructions to give them to me or to the public, and they were sent now to the National Archives, where we have to hunt for them there.
Yeah, that's they're being hidden by the deeps in the swamp of the National Archives.
And look, it's going to be what? Freedom of information requests. They could stonewall you now to get those documents when you could have just been given to you.
Well, Pat Cipollone has a copy of them. Pat Cipollone has a copy. He just said Pat Cipollone, and he told you your buddy at the White House that's a loyalist to Trump said that Pat Cipollone has a copy. Didn't we just go through all this shit?
I've said for 4 years while President Trump was in office, his biggest challenge was knowing.
Can't Stop Lying says, hold on one second. I was doing the Pitt thing too. Yeah. What's in the box? What's in the box?
Who he could trust in that White House. I don't know why he wouldn't comply with the order. Do you have any idea why Pat Cipollone would not comply?
Yeah, because he works for China.
Don't know who made the final decision, who had what. I've heard different names of different people that had the documents in their possession. But at the end of the day, the biggest loser isn't John Durham. It isn't President Trump. It's the American public.
That's true. I feel like I've been cheated.
Documents would give us a complete accounting of one of the greatest political dirty tricks ever carried out in America.
And yet they just don't exist. And then by the time we get a Freedom of Information Act, nobody will care about the truth anymore. And Trump will be, found huffing paint in an alley someplace.
In history, and the president did the right thing. He declassified them, and somehow the team around him has managed to keep it from the American public for nearly 9 months.
It's unbelievable. Like it's almost like he didn't hire the best people.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that just infuriates me, and it should infuriate
everything. Infuriates you.
Everybody who supports President Trump and is in search of the truth, which is really all we want. So that brings us to this latest indictment. I call it somewhat of a dud. I mean, I'm interested that he's supposedly connected to the Clinton campaign and he lied to investigators. Fine. But where are the big indictments that we've all...
well, Durham was supposed to be magic, man. It was going to turn the whole thing, and then we'd desurf. Oh, man.
Waiting for.
Yeah, so there's still much more activity. This indictment was only handed up today because there was a statute of limitations of September 19th. It's 5 years to the day when Mr. Sussmann met with the FBI and gave them what essentially turned out to be a bogus Russia collusion allegation.
There's a whole bunch more coming. Welcome to the right-wing version of there's got to be more to the Mueller report.
There are more things in the work. There's more grand jury activity. This investigation was delayed for a long time by witnesses who challenged subpoenas and fought Special Prosecutor Durham. So it's been much more slow, but this is a prosecutor that is tenacious, and I don't think he is anywhere near being done. I think you may see more indictments. And you
might, yeah. You won't.
See a really remarkable, robust report based on the reporting I'm doing. But there's one important thing to think about tonight. There was a little preemptive leak last night in the New York Times, but when we got the indictment...
Oh, New York Times is a good source then, according to Newsmax and this dude? Just so we're clear?
Mr. Sussman's activities are pretty egregious. He was paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign to put together this allegation of secret computer communications between Moscow and Trump.
Or investigate it and put together a red sheet about it.
He gave it to the FBI. The people around him told him it might be a red herring. It didn't look to be true. He nonetheless then walked it into the FBI.
Oh, you mean the Trump loyalist kind that were supporting Trump who were like, I don't know.
To the general counsel, very high in the FBI, gave him the documents and told the guy, according to the indictment, I'm not doing this on behalf of any client. I'm actually doing this because I'm a good citizen. The FBI took that as, well, okay, we'll go look at it. They later found out that this man, Mr. Sussmann, was charging all this work to Hillary Clinton's campaign, including the day he met with the FBI. He billed the Hillary Clinton campaign for that. This was a dirty political trick.
Oh, terrible.
And it ties the Clinton campaign to this, which is really what we've suspected all along. That's the big news here, right, John?
Absolutely.
If
And
I
remember,
may, notice how there is absolutely no conversation, no part of this conversation. Hold on, I've got to erase somebody who's trying to get somebody to call a WhatsApp number to get cured from whatever. Out of my, it's a red herring. I don't care what flavor it is. It's just delicious. Well, hold on. Back up. Let me, right here.
We've suspected all along. That's the big news here, right, John?
absolutely. And remember, what Sussman's doing is going on simultaneous to what Christopher Steele's doing. Same month, Christopher Steele's meeting with media.
Because he worked for the law firm. He billed hours for the law firm or whatever. But again, is everything, like, let's say you're a lawyer. You work for a firm, you do certain work for Kellogg's, right? And you find out that in your lawsuit that you've got a lawsuit against another company, right, while you work for, your billing hours to Kellogg. And another company that Kellogg has a lawsuit against, while what's going on criminally, they're doing something criminal. It has nothing to do with what you're doing civilly with them. You're in a civil lawsuit against them, but they're involved in criminal behavior. You can't bring that criminal behavior into the civil court, but you work 6 hours that day on the civil side of the case. And you take some of the evidence and the stuff that you've drafted up about some of the other allegations that you know now are not going to be part of the civil case, and you walk them over to the police station and you go, hi, this isn't part of my actual work as a lawyer. This is just fucked up. Here, you guys should look into this. Should that be illegal? That they're arguing it should be.
With the FBI meeting with the State Department, and all of these Clinton operatives are trying to flood the FBI with Russia, trying to make it look like there was a Donald Trump problem that we now
make people recognize that there was a Donald Trump problem.
Didn't exist.
Did exist.
Yeah, amazing. John Solomon, you've done tremendous work on the Russian collusion hoax.
Yeah, your work with documents that don't exist is the best in the business. Well, I appreciate it.
Stories as well. I appreciate you coming in and laying out the story about these documents. I wish you would have gotten them. It would have saved us a lot of time. That's for sure.
Yeah, I wish you'd have gotten them. I wouldn't have had to pretend they exist all this time.
Well, I'm not going to sleep until we get them.
Well, you do look like you've been missing sleep. I will say that. Jesus Christ.